But if you're gonna write a story where like the main character switches like halfway through, I mean, there's a ton of different like tips. This is not easy, by the way. Like anyone trying to do this in my chat, this is innately not easy. Have fun, because you're automatically going to be making like a more difficult story for yourself, but it also might be better than, I think, a more traditionally structured story. You need to be able to set up the groundwork for your second character to hit the floor running at the beginning of a story. And this is a psychological thing, because a ton of reading is actually just based in being able to manipulate your reader, and also capitalizing on the preconceived notions of what a person is going to expect coming into a book or a narrative. People at the beginning of a story in like page 1 through 10 automatically know, hey, this might be a little slow. I might not understand what I'm getting into, because like that's just how a story starts. And therefore you could take a bit of time to be able to dive into like the meat and potatoes of a story. Some stories start off instantly, and that's fine. You know, you can have your Fast and Furious style opening if you really want to. But a lot of stories can get away with having like a more gradual rise up until like your third or fourth chapter to where the conflict is going. And that will be the introduction of your main character. You can't really do that if you're going to be starting off like a new character halfway through the book, because effectively you have to have them already engaged in some type of active conflict or tension that a reader would be interested in. For example, for Game of Thrones, Robb was the main character like season 2 because Ned was killed. I mean, obviously there was no like main character in Game of Thrones. To my understanding, the Phantom of the Opera switches POV halfway through the story. Haven't seen it, but I probably should. But yeah, Game of Thrones sets up multiple main characters, but really Robb is the Avenger main character. I know Daenerys and Jon and Tyrion are still very much in the scene in season 2, but like Robb is the guy who's the king of the North. And Robb and the rest of the characters were all set up on their own journeys, and they were deep in it, so that when Ned, who had the most screen time by far, was taken away, and even the most page time, we instantly got to go into their stories, right? So the thing that I would say most is, if you're going to switch characters, have the character that you're going to be making the story centered around halfway through be actively engaged in something from the get-go. Preferably, if you can also have that character either be liked beforehand, before switching off, or be interested in, that would be really good. That way you don't have to like rebuild up interest in your story again. Because no one's just gonna want to start like from a dead stop. And then also what I would say is, and this probably goes without saying, but I'm just going to say it anyway, make sure it's actually narratively relevant to switch characters halfway through. Like, I know some people like to write like in a, not in a gimmicky way, but they have an idea before they actually put the story into practice. If you don't need to have an entire second half where with a different character, don't do it. Because again, you're just making more work for yourself. I have no idea what your story's about. Maybe it is like really relevant, supposed to be that way for the best execution, but really think if there's a way you don't have to do it, I would say choose that way. Because what really kills a story is an idea for what you want coming before what is best for the narrative. So those would be kind of like my recommendations for you, how to proceed forward. But you know, more power to you. I hope it's a great story, and I hope you finish it very soon and submit it to me on my website. Link down in the description below when it actually posts, you know. So yeah.